Uliana, I have a question for you. Imagine the neighborhood that you live in, which is Neukölln, is a guy. Would you date him?
Hell no. I would never date this guy.
Okay, so remind me, when did you move to Berlin?
I moved to Berlin in 2019, so it's been already 5 years that I'm here. What about you? Almost the same.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
And do you feel
Integrated? Considering my level of speaking German, I wouldn't say so.
You don't need to integrate. I think you're integrated by the fact that you moved here and you became like everyone else. I think when you're an expat, you're part of the biggest community in Berlin, which is a community of expats. So
You passed the exam.
5 years in Berlin, 4 years in Berlin. Where did you live in Berlin? In which neighborhoods so far?
First, I was living in Moabit, which I absolutely adore. I think, and that's not only my opinion, Moabit will be the next Kreuzberg. It's very spacious, green, not so many people, but of course, it's far away from fancy.
From the Köln.
Yeah,
It's the
exactly.
biggest minus.
Several times when I was moving, I ended up living in Kreuzberg. And now, downgrade or upgrade, depending on your perspective. Now I live in Neukölln. We're neighbors. I'm very happy about it. All my life is centered in Neukölln. I live here, I work here, my campus is here. Most of my friends live here as well.
Same, exactly the same. Everything is in Neukölln, to the extent that I am fed up with it already. It's one of the most controversial districts, I think, in Berlin. Some people absolutely hate it, some people love it. I was a big fan. I think Berlin for a long time was only Neukölln for me. So for me, like, Berlin equals Neukölln.
Not Kreuzberg.
Kreuzberg, Neukölln. Like, I would like to move out of Neukölln, but it's not gonna happen in the next years because I just found a flat here, so I'm gonna stay here. Yay! So I'm gonna stay here for forever.
Our next episode will be in new Uliana's flat.
Yes, and about flat search in Berlin.
Exactly.
It's a big topic as well.
Another hot topic, yes.
Every district has its own personality, and there are these bigger districts like Neukölln, Kreuzberg, Schöneberg, but then in these districts there's also smaller kids, and they all have a name and they all have a personality as well. They have very tight social neighbor communities that are led by volunteers. My kids that I live now is called Rollberg Kids, and I think we're pretty like crazy on all this community stuff.
Are you participating?
Which I'm never participating in, but I received like at my door like a zine, like a newspaper, and that explains like the map of the neighborhood, all the places that you can go to. We have our own praxis, like medical praxis, that is only serving Rollberg Kids people. So if you're from other kids, you cannot go there. Like movie nights, like clean the kids.
Exclusive.
Very exclusive. Members only. It's pretty crazy, no?
Yeah, it is. Even when you meet a person and they explain what neighborhood they live in, you can immediately judge what kind of personality you will have to deal with.
Guy from what district would you date?
Kreuzberg. I'd say Kreuzberg, like, you know, this hipster with a strong political opinion.
Drinking overpriced coffee.
Playing music, only vinyl.
No money.
No money, no money.
No money, but big ambitions. I would date a guy from Schöneberg. I think it's an undercover gem, and that has all the benefits of like Neukölln and Kreuzberg, but also is cleaner, it's more sophisticated.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to explore in Schöneberg. Completely different climate, even in terms of architecture. It's such a shame, Uliana, that you didn't get that flat in Schöneberg. Maybe that would be a chance to find a boyfriend for us.
Both of us, one boyfriend. Okay, let's play a game, and we name one association that we have for a certain district in Berlin. I start.
Okay.
Mitte.
A guy from finance. Prenzlauer Berg.
Yoga parents. Charlottenburg.
Old Russians. Friedrichshain.
Drunk tourists.
Yeah.
Spandau.
Stieglitz.
Asocial. I think one of the surprising things that you get to discover as an expat in Berlin is how analog it is. in so many ways, starting from paying cash, only cash at some places. What was the craziest aspect of analog life that you get to experience in Berlin?
Definitely sending a fax. Whenever I think about this story, it's just like I'm starting to vibrate from anger because I had this case when a German bank just canceled my account without contacting me by phone, without sending me an email, just a post letter, like a physical letter, to the address that I already like moved from. And one day I discovered that I could not pay with my card. I tried everything to reach out to them. The only thing that helped when I sent them a fax. By the way, the bank is Comdirect. Never use it.
This is crazy. Like, fax is something from 90s, I don't know.
Like pager.
But in Berlin, it's still in use. I also encountered so many situations where you're like speechless because you couldn't even think that that's an option. So many things you can only receive in your personal physical post box. And I think even Germans themselves suffer from it. So I recently went to pick up my package from Pack Station. These are fully automatic stations that you can use to order.
Automatic.
It's crazy. And I saw a German man standing in the station, looking at his phone, cursing, swearing, like Scheiße, Scheiße. And I realized that he had the same issue that I had when I first tried to pick up my package, is that when you come to the station, that your package is already there, waiting for you, you want to pick it up, you need a customer number, and you think, okay, I'll just register with DHL and receive my customer number. You try to register an account, they ask you to verify your identity, and the only way to verify yourself is to receive a physical mail that can take up to 7 days to arrive to your post box.
So Germany.
And there will be like a code that you need to enter in the app, and only after that you'll receive your customer number, and only after that you have to come back. And hopefully your package will be still there, but probably it's going to be already on the way back. So I explained it to this German guy. He was so pissed and surprised. This is how the system works. But once you understand that, you live with that. You're like, okay.
Yes, but sometimes I find it even charming in a way because it creates a feeling of the slow life that we all lack in our fast-paced life.
Exactly. You have to slow down in some...
Slow down and pay in cash.
So in some ways, Berlin makes you to slow down or speed up in other places.
I never speed
both.
up. I'm
It's
not
both.
like that.
No, me neither. Slow life, forever.
Only ketamine. I love the way how we change over time. Recently, I found myself in a conversation advocating for the fact that we need to fight for our rights when a company that owns this building where we rent a flat is trying to find ways to get more money from us. I could never imagine thinking like this before when I was living in Voronezh. There was just not such a concept.
It doesn't exist.
Of human rights. That's a very interesting shift in my personality. Yes, I'm a person and I will not pay more than I'm paying now.
I stand by it. I agree, like the amount of protests, the amount of social agenda, just being involved in the social causes in general, and there are so many non-profit institutions that support you in protecting your rights. Even with the rent, in Berlin, if you pay too much rent, you can go to an agency like a non-profit organization and they will lower your rent for you, and they will do it for you for free. They will just take like the percentage of the money that you will be refunded, and that is
100%.
so, and that's just one example.
So nice to have human rights.
Yes, it feels good.
Feels liberating.
But also on the topic of how we change, I had a moment when I realized it very clearly. The difference between living here for already 5 years and just coming to live here. My friend made a party for Russian-speaking expats. I came to this party. I started a normal party conversation with a girl that I never met before. And I think I opened it up with a question like, how are you? How is your situation? And I found myself listening to her monologue for the next 30 minutes, where she explained in detail how hard her life is, how bad she feels, how depressed she is. And I was standing there at the party, the music is playing, I'm standing there with my glass of wine and just listening to this person pouring this stream of negative thoughts on me. And that moment I could feel very well the difference between having social skills and knowing how to do a small talk. So you ask a question, you have a rather short answer, then you ask another question. So it's like bouncing between two people. I think that's a big difference in mentality and the skills that people in Europe have, and people from Slavic countries sometimes lacking.
I remember the story that you were telling about a guy who was talking a lot about himself, not even asking you a single question. And then by the end of the evening, he said, I think we had such a connection, we should meet again. Of course.
It's perfect. So I think there's a big gap, and I like an art of small talk. When done right, it's not a superficial exchange, it's a very entertaining and very light interaction, which I appreciate.
Exactly, it's so lively, even like queuing to the toilet in a bar. Sometimes you just start a conversation out of nowhere, and second minute of this conversation you already like dive deep into philosophical topics.
I think
It gives a spark.
that's very special to toilet conversations. Directly go into philosophy from second minute.
And then you also add this person on Instagram and follow him for 5 years. Yeah, I would actually call it a universal male trait when on a date, for example, you don't receive a single question and you just keep lighting up the conversation with your questions, and then have a feeling that the person in front of you has no interest in getting to know you.
Or has zero social skills.
Or this.
But since we're talking about the differences in mentality and culture, what would you say about dating German guys?
Oh, I don't hate it so much as you, Uliana. So maybe you can tell a story.
I don't hate it, but I just feel that it's so hard for me to connect somehow with German guys. Although on the friendship level, I have some German friends. I love them. They're amazing. They're super fun. Or German colleagues. But on the romantic level, I feel like we're so different. Sometimes it is really ridiculous. If I would think of the general similarities, one is having a hard time getting sarcasm or jokes. Sometimes looks like you make a joke and a guy would laugh at it and then immediately answer to it as if it was a serious question or statement. And
that's true.
Yeah. Or I also find it's hard to flirt on a date with a German guy. Again, I don't want to generalize. Could be.
But you do.
But just my personal experience. I don't feel this lightness of a flirty interaction where you're getting a bit like heated up when you exchange, when you ask provocative questions, or just playing with each other. I think they could be very intellectual, and I also like to have intellectual talks, but there's no underlying sexual tension. And recently I had one date. Nothing particularly good or bad, but I just had to laugh so hard at the aftermath of this date when we started to text a little bit. And the guy went on vacation just right after our date, and I thought, okay, it would be nice to continue the conversation or to keep somehow the contact. So I asked, send me pictures. He sent me one picture and said, the view of my bed this morning. I replied, beautiful, I bet you had nice dreams. In my mind, it was something light and flirty, which he could reply in so many ways, but I'm gonna read what he did. Me, I bet you had nice dreams. Him, actually, my sleep was often interrupted by mosquito bites, so I don't remember, but the movement of the boat was quite nice. That's the end of the interaction.
That's the most German message.
There's no follow-up, there's no question in return, there's no emoji. And imagine, this is a conversation between two people that just went on the first date. Whereby you do have anything in particular to say about
Do you have anything to say?
Do you have anything to say about German guys, whether in dating or being friends with?
There is not much that triggers me or annoys me in their behavior. I also wouldn't say that I date a lot of German guys, but some I did. It's really difficult for them to open up, or it takes a lot of time. When you're trying to get in closer, for them it feels like you're transgressing their privacy. In many situations, you have a feeling that this is the moment, this is the start of developing an emotional connection, but don't be fooled, because the other time there will be a very solid wall in between you, and no hope that it will fall like in 1989. But I also don't want to seem very negative. On the defense of German guys, I would say that they're very kind, very caring, usually, which is very attractive. Okay, we have different experience.
But I also don't want to sound negative. I'm actually a big enemy of complaining about the place that you moved in, whether it's about culture or people that live here.
That's why we're making this podcast.
No, but I specify that I really like German people as friends. Guys, girls, I really enjoy a lot of things about them. But just romantically, I feel like we are not compatible.
Imagine a plot twist: in 2 years you're marrying a German guy. Like a very typical German guy.
Could be, as anything can happen in life, but the probability is very low.
We'll see.
But compared to how close or distant German people can be, there's one thing where they're very open.
Yeah, and it's such a controversial to what we've talked before.
What is it?
It's the attitude towards nudity.
Nudity is part of German culture, which I find so cool.
Especially Eastern Germany.
They have a name for it, FKK, Freie Körperkultur. I think it's quite disarming to see that or to experience that for the first time. And not only for Slavic people, but also for other European or British people, to see how naked Germans like to be. And where they like to be naked. Everywhere. Just for your understanding, there are a lot of parks in Berlin, and almost each park has a nudist part. Just undress. You can tan there completely naked, and that park would be in the middle of Berlin. So it's not on some outskirts or whatever. It's just in the middle of Berlin. And families will pass by, kids will pass by, men, women, everyone together, and just naked people chilling in the sun. Like this. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's creating a climate of total tolerance towards other people, imperfections or particularities, which is great. I love that. I want to live in such a society.
I think it's extra cool. And I support it with all my hands, legs,
and vagina.
Naked tits. Okay, Dasha, let's go. Let's record our podcast naked from now on.